guys, it's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to another review where today we're going to be reviewing The Last of Us. And I just want to thank you guys for bearing with me. I already have the first episode of The Last of Us Part 2 recorded, and I already have a lot more stuff in the works right now, so thank you guys so much for your patience while there hasn't been uploads these past few days. It's just been absolutely crazy here. Now, The Last of Us Part 1, I'm just going to get this out there. I don't think I've cried as much as I did with any game that I'd have with this. I mean, The Medium, I was emotional. The Medium was a game that I was really emotional with. Let's just be honest here. It was an emotional game. Okay, the Blobber team did absolutely an incredible job, but I feel like Naughty Dog really encapsulated how to get a person emotionally and keep them there. That's the thing. Like, I was emotional throughout this entire damn game. I was wondering, oh, what's gonna happen next? Am I gonna cry at this point? Am I gonna be an emotional blobbery? Am I going to just lose all hope for humanity at this point? All of the above happened. In the beginning, everything was light. Then darkness came and said, "You will know me, you will fear me, and then I'll become your friend." The Last of Us Part 1 is a riveting and heartbreaking tale of Joel and Ellie's journey in search for the Fireflies, a militia group that's on the search and the hunt for a cure to this entire parasitic infection, if you will. They want to help humanity, or so it seems, and Ellie is a young girl who is immune to this entire bacterial infection. Is it a bacterial infection? It's a fungus. Let's just go with fungus. She's immune to the fungal infection affecting the masses, and it teaches us that making a logical, tough decision requires an emotional lens and somewhat detached heart. So The Last of Us is a game that really challenges you emotionally, mentally, just taking apart everything you know about how a story works in a video game. It makes you look at things through this new psychological lens because in Naughty Dog games, especially with these, you have a lot of psychology. I think this is the most psychologically driven game that they've really ever done. Besides the Uncharted series, I feel like the Uncharted series, at least from what I know of it, was very psychologically driven. I just want to put a little disclaimer. I have not played the Uncharted series and I haven't seen any of the, playthroughs or anything like that. I've just heard bits and pieces of the story about the game, and from what I hear, that's what makes me think it's a little more leaning towards the psychological route. All of these characters mean something, and they're there for a reason. You don't see a character in this game that's not there for a reason. Like, it's not just the ordinary NPC that's just there to boost the story a little bit further and then never shows up again. No, all of the characters in the story, from the bad guys to different characters that you meet as just passerbys, they all indicate something throughout this story. Whether it's to teach you a lesson or bring you strife, there's no character that does not carry weight or consequence in this game. To survive in this game, you need to kill. Pure and simple. There is no ifs, ands, or buts around it. The more you kill, the higher you are up in the food chain. Meeting Ellie in this abandoned world, one would think that it brings about the idea that you have to be a little bit softer and not as harsh when when she's around because she is a child, when in fact it's completely that idea is spun on its head entirely. And you have to even act, I think, even more so violent to keep her safe. And Ellie is just as violent as a lot of the people that you meet that are out to kill you in this game. Ellie is just as violent as the next person who is trying to survive, if not more so at times, because she was raised in this environment. So psychologically, you see someone who was bred in violence, who was born in a very violent atmosphere, so they themselves not necessarily going to be violent, but in this case, the game shows what it's like when that ultimate extreme is met. Now, I want to clarify, just because someone is brought up in a violent situation does not mean themselves they are necessarily going to be violent, but this game is showcasing the what if. What if this person was going to turn out really, really violent, even though she's just 14 years old within the first game, and in the second game, I believe she's 19, so it shows kind of her maturity through understanding her violence, understanding who she is as a person raised in a post-apocalyptic world, basically. Now, what we call trauma, they call surviving. In this game, The Last of Us, there are instances that are riddled with trauma moments. You have, Ellie never being in the woods or experiencing things that most children her age have already experienced. Ellie killing someone that wasn't infected, who was just a regular human being like you or me. Joel losing her daughter, Tess turning and facing her own mortality. The list goes on and on. Within the factions of The Last of Us, there are so many different kinds of survival tactics, passive, manipulative, and animalistic. Each one different, but the common goal in the end is to be the one alive, that you are that person at the top of the food chain. And the reality is, in the 21st century, survival for some isn't a question. We don't have to kill to eat, we don't have to hunt our food or fight off a horde of clickers. So this game puts a very realistic stance on what it would be like if all shit hit the fan, quite literally. We wouldn't know what to do, you know, quite honestly, and we wouldn't know how to live in a world that was stripped from everything that we knew. So, you know, most likely it would be, you know, we would truly be afraid of what would come next, what would be that last resort. What The Last of Us does is it makes us choose the things that we don't want to. You know, it forces us to make the choice when normally the game would just do that for us. Naughty Dog has really made an emphasis on us choosing, on us being the people, like, you know, being, hey, you need to make this choice. You need to understand this is life or death right now, and you have to understand that you need to experience the consequence of your own actions. So what would you do, necessarily? If you were given the choice, would you let Ellie's life be taken by the Fireflies to meet their goal of trying to find a cure for mankind? Or would you do what Joel did? Would you just take her away because you don't want her to get harmed? There's so many different things, so many different debates going on about this topic, and we're going to go into it. For me personally, it's an easy choice. It's one that's not the common belief of this game. I wouldn't save Ellie. I feel like if she is as of a rarity, then she shouldn't be saved. She should be used for science. She should be used to create a vaccine. If a vaccine is actually created, if it's not, then I'd be, you know, thoroughly pissed off. But now there are two reasons why saving Ellie is just a terrible idea. First of all, Ellie is unique in the fact that the virus and the fungi that has been growing inside her brain, it can be used for a vaccine that could be created within less than a year. We know this because the COVID vaccination, I believe, was created in 8 months, so it's doable. Ellie wouldn't have to die for nothing. She had people who loved her, people that cared about her, and she was always surrounded by people who protected her. She never had a lonely life. She never had something of where, you know, she was, you know, attacked by clickers and died right there. She was attacked by clickers and survived, but her friend was the one who died. So, you know, it's one of those situations of where you have to think of all the negatives and the positives, and the fact that, you know, she wouldn't die in vain. Her death could be used as a cure for millions. Is it tough? Yeah, of course it's tough. You know, it's always tough when, you know, you have to see someone you care about die, in this case Joel with Ellie, but you know, the fact that he saved her, I thought was a little bit pointless. She would be dying for something positive and something that could have helped humanity in a way that she alone could have done. No one else could have done this, only she could have. So here are my final thoughts. The Last of Us Part 1 is one of the most well thought out games I think I've ever played. It's well written, the story is well developed, and it's something that where you look literally from the beginning to the middle to the end, there is a cohesive flow from point 1 to point C. Like there are no spots in this game where it is not well thought out or thoroughly done. Now, while it's challenging to the player, it makes them think, it makes you have a grieving process, it makes you at the same time understand what those characters are going through, because it's allowing the player to choose the same things that the characters are choosing. The game, like I said before, the game isn't making the choice for you, you are doing the majority of the heavy lifting here. So if you guys like psychological horror games that deal in a post-apocalyptic world that challenge you, this game is for you. This game is absolutely for you. Okay, psychological horror is one of the best and most challenging genres of video games, I think, in my opinion anyway. But yeah, if you guys like my face and what I do, and you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you all in the next video. I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday over on my other channel called Casually Ariel. But stay casually nerdy, you guys, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.